Okay, welcome to part 2. We're going to be working through questions 6 through 10 on this video. So starting off with number 6, we have, it says solve for x. So when I have a proportion like this, all I'm going to do is my little butterfly method, cross multiply. So I'm going to have 5 times x minus 1, and then I'm going to have this right here. It's 4 times x minus 9. So I distribute to both of these. Boom, 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 boom. 5x minus 5 equals 4x minus 36. Going to do my algebra quickly. Slow it down and pause if you need to show the steps. So I've got x by itself, so 1x equals negative 31. I don't really need to do anything with the 1, so 1x is what I'm looking for, so my answer is negative 31. Moving to number 7, things get a little bit different. I've still got a proportion like this, so I just cross multiply because there's no plus or minus or anything. With like I don't have 3 fractions, I've just got 2. So I've got x times x minus 8 equals negative 5 times x minus 2. If I distribute here, boom, boom, I've got x squared minus 8x equals negative 5x plus 10. Okay. And we know the whole goal with quadratics, so for quadratics, to solve, a little note to remind you, you get one side equal to 0. So with quadratics, that's your goal, right? Is to get one side equal to 0, okay? So I'm usually going to go with whatever side that the x squared is not on. So the x squared is right here. So I'm going to take care, oh, sorry about that. I'm going to take care of everything on this side. So I'm going to add 5x on both sides. I'm going to minus 10 on both sides. That gives me x squared minus 3x minus 10 equals 0. I can factor this with x method. What adds to negative 3 and multiplies to negative 10? That's going to be negative 5 and 2. So that's going to give me x minus 5 and x plus 2 equals 0. Okay. The short way we learned this is that the parentheses are liars. So anytime you have a linear factor, so just x minus something or x plus something, you can just flip the signs to be the opposite. So instead of negative 5, I'm going to have 5. And instead of 2, I'm going to have negative 2. And really the long way of what we're doing is we're setting both of these equal to 0. So x minus 5 equals 0. X plus 2 equals 0. Adding 5, x equals 5. Then minus 2 on both sides, and it's going to be x equals negative 2. Okay, and right now that's not really important. You can see that the answers here are the same, but this is going to come in handy when we have not so pretty factors. Okay, so moving on to number 8. Here you can see I've got 1, 2, 3 fractions. Okay, so I can't just cross multiply. What I'm doing here is I've got to get everything to have the same denominator. So I'm looking for the least common denominator. Okay. And right here, this 1 can be written over 1. So my least common denominator, I've got x minus 9 twice, and I've got nothing here. So it's just going to be x minus 9. And really, all you're doing when you're doing these is multiplying everything by x minus 9 on top. Okay. So this isn't missing nothing, so I've just got x minus 9 and my 1. This is missing the whole thing, so I've got 1 and then the x minus 9. And then here I've got x over x minus 9 because it's not missing anything. And technically, this might look a little weird if you showed it to somebody else, but this is just how I think about it, okay? You're just multiplying what's missing, and that allows you to cancel out the denominators, okay? That's really what I'm doing here. So I've got 1 minus 1, negative 1, x minus 9, and x. So here, I'm just going to distribute this out. This negative 1, so I'm going to have 1 minus 1x minus 9 equals x. Combine like terms. We have negative 1x minus 8 equals x, add x, add x, and that's going to give me negative 8 equals 2x. Divide by 2, and negative 4 equals x. And that's the same thing we're going to do on number 9 here, but it's not, maybe it's not quite as straightforward though. It's not quite as straightforward. So to find the least common denominator, if you have something you need to factor first. Always remember that. Factor first. Okay, so let's factor this. This one can't, but this one can. So that this and this have x in common, so I can take x out, and I've got x, parentheses, x minus 3. Okay, so if you notice, this has both of these in it already, but it also has an x. So this middle is going to be my least common denominator. Okay, so this middle denominator right here is going to be my least common denominator. The x and then x minus 3. Okay, so I want to write these all like this. Like I said, this might not look quite right, but this is just how I've shown you. So what's this one missing on bottom? It's just missing the x. So I multiply the top by x, so 6x times x. And then this one's missing nothing, so I keep a 2. And this one's missing the x, so I'm going to keep an x. So I'm missing the x. So I'm going to multiply these out, and get rid of that. The bottoms, the denominator, so I've got 6x squared minus 2 equals 1x. I need to get one side equal to 0, so I'm going to subtract 1x on both sides. And then I've got 6x squared minus 1x minus 2 equals 0. Okay, and now here, to be able to solve for this, I know that they don't all have 6 in common. Like there's nothing they really have in common, so I'm going to need to slide and divide. It's going to give me x squared minus 1x minus 12 equals 0. If I do my x method, that's negative 1 and negative 12. And that can factor to negative 4 and 3. So I'm going to write x minus 4 over 6, because that's what I slid by right here. Remember, what you slide by is what you divide by. You can slide and divide. And then here I'm going to have x plus 3 over 6, okay? The next step is to simplify the fractions as much as possible. So x minus 2/3, 4 over 6 becomes 2/3. And then x plus 1/2, okay? Now, once this is simplified as much as you can, if you can't simplify it anymore, the denominators of each slide to the front. So I have 3x minus 2 and 2x plus 1 equals 0. Now, this isn't just as simple now at this point of just flipping the signs, okay? So I need to set each one of these equal to 0. So this guy right here, I'm going to set equal to 0 here. Run out of space a little bit, so 3x minus 2 equals 0. Add 2 to both sides. 3x equals 2. Divide by 3, divide by 3. X equals 2/3. And then for this guy right here, I'm going to have 2x plus 1 equals 0. Minus 1, minus 1. And then 2x equals negative 1. Divide by 2, divide by 2. X equals negative 1/2. Okay, so I'm going to highlight it here. My two answers are going to be x equals 2/3 and negative 1/2. Whew, that's a lot, isn't it? Now, we move to number 10, which, as you kind of noticed, they've got longer and longer progressively. But this is the last one, so let's rock this out. On bottom here, remember, on the denominators, you always factor first, where possible. This that I just pointed to with the red arrow is difference of perfect squares. So x squared minus 9 breaks up into x plus 3 and x minus 3. Okay. So that, you can see here, this encompasses this, and this is just over 1. So my least common denominator is going to be the entire red denominator on the main end. So my least common denominator is going to be x plus 3, x minus 3. So now to write this, what's this guy missing? It's missing both. So I've got 1 times x plus 3, x minus 3, plus this guy right here that I just pointed to with my arrow here is the 2 on the denominator is missing x plus 3, so we're going to have 2 times x plus 3. And then pointed to here in black, this is missing neither one, so it's just going to be 5. Okay. We know 1 times anything is just going to be itself, so we really don't need this 1 here. Like, you can distribute it in, but it's not really going to do anything, so I'm just going to have x plus 3 times x minus 3 to x plus 3, 5. Okay. And we already know if we go the opposite way here, let me draw an arrow to kind of show you. You can box method this to get your answer, but we know that the simplified version that we factored from was just x squared minus 9. So x plus 3 and x minus 3 multiplied together is going to give me x squared minus 9. Then if I distribute this 2 to both, I'm going to have 2x plus 6 equals 5. Okay, let's combine like terms. So x squared, I'm going to put my 2x next, then minus 3, because right here my negative 9 and 6 combined there, and I have 5. Okay, that's minus 5 on both sides to get one side equal to 0 with a quadratic. So I have x squared plus 2x minus 8 equals 0. If I do my x method, done a lot of x method today. So 2 and negative 8. That is 4 and negative 2. So if I factor this out, I've got x plus 4 and then x minus 2. With my linear factors, you can set them equal to 0, or since it's just x plus 4 and x minus 2, nothing in front, you just flip the signs. So x equals negative 4 and positive 2. Okay. Thank you. Have a nice day.